Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. Just getting this glare out of my glasses. How you doing? I'm here with Brian Christgau. Is that how you say your name? Oh
Yes,
wow. Yeah, yeah.
Christgau.
I
I
have a
get Christgan, Christgau, Christganu. It's all
yeah.
good.
My last name is always mispronounced, always misspelled. So
Which is?
Boa.
Are you, I'm sorry. Can you
How,
say it again?
I'm gonna say. All right, we'll play a game. I like when people try this. My last name is Boa. Now, how do you think it's spelled?
Boer.
Not even close.
Bohr.
No, Bua. Nobody ever gets it right.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it French?
I think it's Spanish, but my family's from Sicily. But
Ah,
my grandfather's like, oh yeah, ship captain. Of course, he has to be a ship captain. It can't just be anybody. He goes, they came from Spain and settled in Sicily. Who knows? But I've done a little research, and supposedly it's from Spain, where it's like a derivative of like bovine, like my family, like like carpenter. These people were like ox herders or something like that, and
right, right,
whatever.
right,
But I don't
right.
know. It's probably bastardized from something. I don't know, but it's not shortened. It's not changed. Just BUA. And odds are anybody, well, anybody from Europe who has that name I'm related to, because there is a name Bua in Nigeria. It's a first name, I think, and there is a name Bua from Thailand. No. In Nigeria, it's a last name, and in Thailand, it's a first name for a girl.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm always fascinated by names and name
Yeah, me
origin.
too. That's one of my little nerdy things. I'm fascinated by the meanings of words, and I'm fascinated by the meanings of names. Oh, believe me, when I was a pretentious college student, single and on the prowl,
Yeah,
that was like
yeah.
my main thing. I'd meet a girl and tell her what her name meant and how it fit. I wasn't into astrology, but like, oh, your name is Sophia. Did you know that's Greek for wisdom? And you must be so smart, blah, blah, blah.
Back when you thought that chicks were like into smart dudes.
Yeah, it was college. I make no bones about it.
English major.
I was a pretentious college kid.
Me too. Me too. I was a lit major, dude. I was a lit major.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was Greco-Persian history. How pretentious.
No, history is awesome. I wish more people studied it. I wish more writers studied history.
And right now, I realized that my pretentious levels were going down, so I had to re-up. So I'm rereading Gore Vidal novels. Got to get my pretension meter. I don't know if you're familiar with Fabrizio Aiello. He does a comic called Horace H. Hoover. It used to be on Alterna. Now he's by himself. One of my favorite comics. But me and him, we chat back and forth. Who's more pretentious? He talks about jazz. He's teaching me about jazz and stuff. So he's like, you got to be pretentious and listen to this. So we were joking one night that we were going to have a pretentious contest. Who's more pretentious? Me,
Yeah, but here's the thing. There's a difference between being cultured and being pretentious. You can be cultured without being pretentious.
Yeah, but calling yourself cultured is pretentious.
That's an excellent point. But you know what I'm saying? It's
Yes,
like
yeah.
the people who are pretentious are the people who feel that they are somehow superior. Like I always have people telling me, dude, you're so smart. Like, oh my God, that guy's so smart. Well, it's so on and so forth, right? It's like, no, it's not that I'm smart. It's that I'm well-read. It's not the same thing.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing. I've read a lot of books.
I've read a lot of books, and I went through a period. I guess it was like an inferiority complex because I didn't start college till I was 25. I was I got a job at the phone company with my dad right out of college, and then I started feeling that I was missing out.
Right.
So I asked my father if he would be mad if I went to college.
Yeah.
And then I went to college, but I went to community college right near me, and I just partied.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I just partied with my friends. You know what I mean? And then I was getting good grades, but I was spending my own money just to part. So then I just stopped and I got a job. I became like a part owner of a pizzeria, and then I started feeling all my friends graduated college and they're getting real jobs, and I'm just working at a pizza. So I started getting that inferiority complex. Like, oh, man.
Right.
So at the age of 25, but then I buckled down and I went out of state because I didn't want to be around my friends. Not that I didn't like my friend. I needed a new beginning, like you know what I mean? Like I would fall into my old habits if I was with my friend. So I went to New Mexico, and here I am. I had my long hair. I was wearing my poncho. I was totally pretentious. I was 25 years old. All the freshmen, I'm a freshman. All the other freshmen are like 19, 20. So I'm talking about Kerouac and all of these books. So I got into this. Not only was I doing my schoolwork, but I'm like, I need to get cultured. So I was reading all the classic books. So I came across as like, I don't know, like this. I know. I know it was all fake. I know it was all bullshit. But back then they were like, "Wow, this guy knows everything." Because you walk into my dorm room, I had stacks because there were so many cheap bookstores that you could get great books for a dime or something like that. So I had all these great books. I'm like, "Yeah, sure, read this one. This was good. Yeah, read that." Oh, that guy's like so old and knowledgeable. But it was all nonsense. It was all it was all out of insecurity.
It was
totally
all
out of insecurity. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, what does this have to do? What? First off, let's get the chats out of the way. We got my comic campaign is still going good. My wife and I were just talking about Heroic Tales. It's about he's a father, he's a husband, he's a beloved superhero, blue sky superheroes, meaning it's Return to Hopeful Comics.
Yes.
He's a good guy. He's a superhero, but he's also a family man. He's also a good guy. There's nothing devious about his private life. There's drama, there's story, there's tension, and then the first issue is an introduction to the character of the patriarch. So there we go. That's on Fun My Comics, and July 1st I want to launch on Kickstarter with a different. So there'll be an exclusive cover that you can only get on Kickstarter. Right now, there's the regular cover and an exclusive cover on Fun My Comic. And then on Kickstarter, there'll be the regular cover by Renzo, and then there'll be an exclusive comic by Michael T. Gilbert. And then that'll run for 2 months, and then I'll go to Indiegogo with a third cover because everybody likes covers. And this is my Substack, and then we got Edwin, who I will be with at 8 o'clock. Hail peeps, Edwin.
What up, Edwin?
Okay, so Brian.
Yes.
I'm real curious now. Tell us about this six-gun gorilla character.
Oh, wow. So six-gun
gorilla. And if
gorilla,
you got any links, do you know how to put your links in the private chat so I can bring them up? You know what I mean? And I'll show off your campaign or anything like that.
Okay, well, yeah, I don't have a current campaign going right
now. Okay,
now.
I thought you were active right now.
No, because I had to wait, right? And that's the thing is you wait on your artists. My boy Von Klaus was making a trailer for me, and now I got the trailer. Everything's like set to go, but I have to plan the launch and all that crap because you know how the launch is important. It's like the opening weekend of like a movie. It's stupid that it's like that, but it just is, and you have to work with the landscape as it currently is. Right. You want to make it a fun event. Listen to me. I did one campaign, so I'm the expert here. But that's okay. I was stressing out when to do it too, and I talked to a lot of people, and I found out like, oh, this guy's opening the same weekend, the same Friday as me. You know what I mean? So I had to just wriggle in on a Friday that nobody else was launching, and then talk to a few people. And Michael Bancroft was nice enough to host me on his channel, and we had a nice fun. But it was exciting. It was an event. Yeah, but you got me excited for Six Gun Gorilla. So how far along the way are you? Oh, well, Preston just turned in the final pages for issue 9, so that leaves just issue 10. And then when issue 10 comes out, that's when I'm going to be able to launch not launch, but deliver the volume 2 trade paperback. And this is going to be a continuation of the campaign that I had on Indiegogo last year, because I closed that campaign because Indiegogo were shadow banning my friends. And I felt like, let me just close this campaign and then relaunch on funmycomic.com, because Luke built a canoe, time for us all to grab an oar. Right. Yeah. That's why I wanted to debut on Fun My Comic. That's why I've been exclusive on it, because, and I don't think I'm telling tales out of school. I had a couple of hiccups
my own fault because I'm a rookie. And I had Luke on the phone, and Luke calmed me down. He talked me through it. We fixed everything, and as I was on the phone with him, I kept saying, if this was Indiegogo, I'd be screwed.
Right.
I would be absolutely 100% screwed. So, I wanted to launch with Fund My Comic for a bunch of reasons. I like Luke. I believe in what he's doing. He takes the politics out of it. It's just about the comics. And to be quite frank, I knew if I had problems, I could fix them with Luke. If I launched on Kickstarter first or Indiegogo first, these problems would have sank my campaign. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
And here's the other thing, too. I was one of the naysayers, right? Like when he launched fundmycomic.com, when he was planning it, I also knew that there were some very powerful people that were not going to be very happy about that. That there were some people that were planning on launching a platform of their own who felt entitled to that percentage that we normally give to Kickstarter or to Indiegogo, and that they were going to fuck with him, right? And they have, but he has persevered. And but I remember
that.
Yeah.
That's news to me.
Yeah. And I told him, like, dude, like, you realize you're going to make some very powerful enemies just by doing this, right? And because right now it's like you have to stick with Indiegogo because that's the way it is. We have to use Indiegogo until these people launch their platform, and then they can get that money that rightfully belongs to them as they see it. And I was one of the naysayers too. Like I remember my friend Matt Burke, my boy, he said, like, in private, we were like, talking as we do in the back rooms, being honest, he asked me, like, so do you think that this is going to work? Do you think that this is going to succeed? And my answer was no. I was like, no, I don't think it is, because he's got too much going against him. But we have to at least try. We have to at least put our support behind him so that if it fails, as I thought it would, we could at least say we tried. Somebody had to do something.
I didn't know any of that. I didn't know other. I'm not asking for names because, quite frankly, I don't care. But
right.
I didn't know that there were people who were pissed off. I thought, naively so, I thought everybody would be happy that one of us is making a campaign.
No.
Shows you that I just today I learned that I'm pissing people off just by existing. On Twitter I said today, why is everybody talking about comics they don't like? Without mentioning names, I said, you guys are obsessed about this comic you don't like.
I know.
You could spend this much time talking about a comic that you actually like.
I'll name names. Names. You're talking about Eric July derangement syndrome is what you're talking about.
Yeah, I had Eric July on my show, so I have a policy of not talking bad to anybody that
he's a fan.
He's
a 600.
He's been on my show twice. He was nice, but I'm also not going to lie. I didn't like Isom. I bought Isom 1. I bought Isom 2. It's not for me. That's the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said to somebody, I go, there's a restaurant around the block for me that's awful. You want to talk about it for 6 hours a night for the next 3 months? Or do you want to talk about this restaurant that is just great? Matter of fact, let's go to this restaurant, sit down and have a burger, what would be a better evening, Brian? You come over, I'll come over, we'll talk about the bad restaurant, or come over, we'll go to the good restaurant.
Right, exactly.
So
but you have to understand
private message me that I'm wrong, that I'm an asshole, whatever.
Oh, dude, they will. Yeah. It's serious. It's very serious. And you have to understand that the people.
One guy told me, I can't wait till your comic comes out so you can trash it. I'm like, well, thanks for telling me that, because now I know not to take you seriously.
Exactly. But it's a threat. That's a threat.
It is a threat. And you know what I told him?
Yeah.
I said, you have a comic book coming out too, and I sincerely hope it's good, because why would I root for a bad comic?
Yes.
Exactly. And I do believe that. I do, Brian,
100%,
let's pretend me and you hate each other. I still want your comic to be good. Like, I still think Mark Waid is a great comic book writer, even though he's kind of a jerk. Kurt
Busiek, man. Kurt Busiek. Huge Kurt Busiek fan. He was dick to me for no reason on Twitter, for no reason. And then I heard the stories about him, because that's the thing. It's like everybody might have a bad day, right?
Right.
We've all been like dicks at one point or another in our lives.
Oh,
And
yeah.
thought, oh man, why was I such a dick? Because I was in a dickish mood. And that's why when I'm in a dickish mood, I try not to like interact with people.
Yeah.
Right?
You don't have to say that to me, man. I work
Right.
construction. Something happens and I'm in a pissed off mood. And then I get on Twitter. Next thing you know, I'm the enemy.
Yeah, you gotta be
I've
careful.
been doing that. Since I have my own YouTube channel, I've been mindful of that. But believe me, I was one of the worst people as far as that. Yeah, so yes.
Right. But it's
And
when
thank
there's
you,
a
Mike.
pattern of behavior.
Right.
When there's a pattern of behavior, because then I heard all the other stories of people's encounters with Kurt Busiek, including at conventions. And although I'm a great admirer of him as a writer, still a fan, if I am tabling a convention and he walks by, I'm going to let him walk right on by without saying a fucking word.
You want to hear a funny Kurt Busiek? It's funny that you mentioned it because I made a comic book. You remember message boards?
Yes.
Yeah.
Back in the olden days, of course.
I still have an active message board, believe it or not. I'm in the process of working it out and, whatever, but rehauling. But I've been running a message board now for 25 years. And the first version of it, it was a V&V that was called Villains Vigilantes Forum.com. We talked about role-playing games. We talked about that game, Villains Vigilantes. And Kurt Busiek, for whatever reason, joined. I had 35 members, myself being one. Kurt Busiek was another member. And we talked about comic books.
Yes.
How cool was that? Literally,
Amazing.
I was a big fan of his Avengers run, Astro City. Aerosmith is a great comic. Oh my God, do I love those comics. So Amazing. It was great. I had one of my favorite comic book writers on my personal 36 freaking members. Kurt Busiek is on it. Now, I didn't expect it to stay low. Actually, that site crashed. I imported everything to another site. You had to rejoin. He never rejoined. But that was fun.
Right.
Now go to 2018 or so. When did I started 3 years ago? So 2021. I'm trying to get guests to come and talk to me. I'm blocked by Kurt Busiek. And I'm like, this guy, he was on my forum. We used to talk. He knew my name. You know what I mean? Like, he told me stories about his wife. I told him stories about my wife. You know what I mean? We talked about, and now I'm blocked. So I had to log out. And it's probably because I follow Ethan Van Sciver or somebody like that. You know what I mean? It's got to be caught up in a block bot.
Yeah. Sure.
Dan Slott, another one. My wife used to say I was Dan Slott's only fan. When he was writing The Thing, I loved that comic book. It lasted 11 issues. And it was just like such deep comic book lore that I saw him at Big Apple Con. It's like the little brother to the New York Comic Con.
Yeah.
It's like the little, as my wife called it, it's the ghetto version. And he's sitting there at a rickety table, and I just came up and started talking to him. He invited me to sit down. We sat for hours talking. He was planning on the She-Hulk series, and he was talking about how he wanted to do law in the Marvel. So we were like goofing on, like, wouldn't this be funny? So I said, how about somebody sues the Xavier Institute for discrimination because he's not a mutant and they won't let him join the school? And he's like, that's brilliant. So I was waiting for that to show up. Some guy wants to sue Dr. Strange because he's claiming that Dr. Strange is using his amulet on him, and you know what I mean? Things that can't really metahuman law, superhero law. And we just had a blast. And then I saw him a year later at Comic-Con. He graduated and he remembered me and we talked. Then I get on Twitter, I'm blocked. You know what I mean? Like, I have like 10 pictures of me and Dan Slott hanging out, Well,
and then the next one
is Eric Larson. I'm the only person on the planet that has every issue of Savage Dragon, and I'm blocked by this guy on Twitter,
Well, you also have to understand that a lot of it has to do with fear, right? Whoa, what up, Sim? That's my boy right there.
How you doing? Just good to see you. I love seeing new names.
Yes.
Oh, Maiden Hell. How you doing?
Oh, Maiden Hell. What's going on, sister?
Great name. That is a great name. How you doing,
she's
Maiden
great.
Hell?
Yeah. A lot of it has to do with fear, right? Like, I think of all of the friends that I've lost in the past few years, right? People with TDS, people with that are just like woke. I'm a lefty, but I'm not woke. And I don't.
Oh, you're a lefty. Good night, everybody.
Bye. See ya.
I'm just busting balls.
No, I am, and I really always have been, but certainly my entire adult life. But it's like I don't believe in censorship. I don't believe in deplatforming. I don't believe in any of this bullshit, right? Any of this really, quite frankly, authoritarian fascist bullshit. And I've had people that have dropped me as a friend because they're afraid of other people going, oh, so you're friends with that guy?
Yeah.
Right? So then they're going to lose their friends. And I've ceased to give a fuck a long time ago because I always feel you have to be true to yourself. You have to be authentic.
Yeah.
Right? And give your opinion, not a canned opinion. That's one of the reasons why if you've ever had a discussion or tried to engage in a friendly debate, a good faith debate with a Zoomer, they will not engage with you. They will turn around and they will run hard in the other direction because all of their ideas have been given to them. They haven't sat down and thought about any of this stuff. So they can't hang. Yeah. A lot of people call me a classical liberal.
Yeah, I always say I'm a classical liberal too, and that confuses people because then they can't figure out if I'm right wing or left wing, and I'm like, does it matter?
I didn't move.
I say I believe in individual. I believe in individual liberty, freedom of expression. I believe in the Constitution, and then you could just see people's eyes like, so is he right wing or left wing? Like,
yeah, exactly, because you have to fit into one or the other.
Excuse me.
And you can't be maybe somewhere in the middle. I mean, or you can't like maybe have some beliefs that are left, some beliefs that are right. For instance, I'm a big First Amendment guy. I'm also a big Second Amendment guy.
Yeah, well, yeah. I'm a big constitutionalist.
Yeah,
my wife laughs at me because now of course I'm not going to be able to find it because we're talking. But I keep a little miniature version of the Constitution right here on my desk, and of course now I can't find it because the light's off. Because I used to argue so much on Twitter with message boards with people, so I would have the Constitution right here so I could quote from it.
Right. Yeah. And let's face it, a lot of these people don't believe in that stuff now, and of course,
here, yep, it's
social
underneath.
Media is totally.
I'm showing everybody here it is right here, my pocket Constitution and Declaration.
Oh, there it is. Oh, okay. I got a little blue one. Mine's blue. Yours was what, red?
Hey, Zach 10 always comes in positive. One of my favorite people. Zoomers can't debate in real life. There's no block button in real life.
Yeah, exactly. And they don't understand that when they leave the campus doesn't come with them. That the world is not a college campus.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
It's very discouraging. These are very discouraging times.
I was just telling my wife, I woke up in a real bad mood today. I can't explain it. I don't know why. She was laughing at me. She says, "You getting your period?" That's the way my wife's busting my chops. So
male PMS is a thing.
I was just livid, So my wife is good. She just said, "I'm going to go upstairs. You're in a bad mood." And I said, "It's not you." And then I get on Twitter and I just wanted to fight with everybody. And I said, I can't do this. I actually had the wherewithal not to. And then I'm like, this is going to be great. I got 2 talks tonight. And I'm ready to fight. So thank you. You calm me down. You got me. You calm me down.
Well, once you're aware that you're in a pissy mood, that really always helps even you out, right?
Because I think I just didn't have enough coffee, is to be honest. Not because as this is going down, I see my mood is changing.
Your caffeine addiction's a thing. It's a real thing. And when people wake up and they're in a cranky mood because they haven't had that first cup of coffee, it's because you're going through withdrawal.
My friend Paul says that he gets like splitting headaches until he has coffee.
It's no joke. It's no joke. I used to, when I was working a shitty ass cubicle job in Manhattan, I used to knock back like at least 4 big old mugs a day, because that's the thing. It's like we think of mugs as cups. No, there's at least 2 or 3 cups in a mug, right? And and they had a real fancy coffee machine. It made lattes, it made chai, it made everything, right? You could do half and half and whatever. And yeah, what
Edgar's not the Federation. Well, I didn't blow up the Klingons. I I went to my ready room and calmed down.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Bertie's trying to make me laugh over here. A bunch of infant Roy syndrome. The Child King. Oh yes, yeah. The infant terrible. You know where I know that term from? Bring it back to comic books. What was it? Fantastic Four #22. When that space alien with the ultimate powers comes to Earth, the name of the issue was the Infant Terrible, and in the letters column they explained this. So it all comes back to comics when you're with me.
Well, it also shows you how literate those comics were. I always tell people that I had in the 6th grade, I had a college level vocabulary. And that's because when I would sit down with my comic books, right, I would always have a dictionary right next to me.
Right. And Stan Lee famously said that he wanted to call the X-Men the mutants. And I'm so mad because the mutants would have been a better title. X-Men really doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? Like the mutants.
Well, X for unknown.
Right. So I don't know. I think the mutants would have been more mysterious and a better name than mutants. But
right.
I think it was his uncle Martin Goodman said kids don't know what mutant means, and Stan said kids could look it up. They're not stupid.
Yes.
And Stan, to me, if that story is true, just is proof that Stan didn't take the audience, the kids, for granted. And I said this too. Who was I? This was great. I went to Free Comic Book Day. I met Billy Tucci and Vaughn Coleman and
nice.
And Cecil. They were all, it was great. We ended up going out drinking afterwards. It was a lot of fun. But while the Free Comic Book Day I was talking to this guy. Me and him were talking. He goes, "I'm not into comics, but my daughter is." So he introduced me to his daughter. She was like 16 years old. And, first off, I felt a little weird talking to a 16-year-old girl, but Dad was right there. So I said, "Can I ask you a question? What comics did you?" And she goes, "Oh, this was my first comic." And she showed me the first comic. It was like New Mutant something from the 90s.
Oh, wow.
I said, "That's like in the middle of like a 6-part story." I said, "How did you get into it?" I love what she said. She goes, "Yeah, I was confused, but it was worth the work to find out." So, I'm stealing her phrase. So comic books were difficult, but they were worth the effort to find out all the lore and stuff, and
they were challenging.
I
have a millennial friend, right? And I actually with 2 millennial friends, and they came with me to the East Coast Comic Con because they'd never been behind the table at a convention before. I was like, "Hey kids, come with me and we'll hang out and you'll see what it's like to hang out like behind the table." Right. But also then they could take over for me and I could go dick around at the convention too. Right. And, they were into manga, but they could not get into American comics because they're just like, well, it's like, I don't know where to start. And it's like, well, it's just like when you were a kid, you'd buy Thor issue 380 and you would just dive in.
Right.
And the reason why Marvel keeps coming out with #1s, aside from trying to get speculators, is for that audience where it's like, okay, well, it's issue #1. You can now you can hop on, but then every 12 months, every 6 months, they have to launch a new #1, right? Because they're using that logic. It's like, no, you jump in to the pool. And, the stories would be written, generally speaking, either done in ones or sometimes 2-parters. And then, of course, you would have that greater continuity. But you felt like you were in a story that had depth, in a world that had depth, that had been going on for a while. And now, of course, it's so much easier than in the past where, you had to buy. I mean, I've never been a comic book collector. I would always buy back issues because I wanted to read them, right? So, it's just like, oh, damn, I missed like that a couple of Frank Miller Daredevils. Well, I got to get those because I want to know, well, what happened in those issues. Now it's easier than it's ever been. You can just get trade paperbacks, right?
It is easier, yeah.
100 times.
Back to this girl that I met.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
No. You made me think of something that she said. She says she likes older comics because they're less confusing. And to bring up your example, Thor 380, she goes, if they reference something like the little asterisk in the bottom, this happened in Thor 295. She was like, okay, 380 minus 295, whatever the math is. I'm not that good at quick math. She goes, that was only 2 years ago. I could go back. It's probably not that expensive. I could get that issue. Yeah. You know, she goes, and we were talking about how my database crashed, and I'm scanning all my comic books. You know, I scan the UP symbols. I got a software.
Nice.
I don't know about you, but Captain America from 2000 to now is incomprehensible with all the volumes. The numbers jump back and forth. You know, they follow the original number, and then they started at 1, and then they went back to the original number, and then they started at 1 again, and then went back to the original. It's I didn't even know what issues I was missing.
It's like the Halloween franchise, like how the Halloween movie franchise.
Yeah.
Have you ever? I don't like if you've ever seen a diagram of it, right? Like, okay, well, this movie picks up this from the first Halloween. This one picks up from the second Halloween, and it's
same with Predator now. These Predators turning into that. But I like what this girl. She goes, so like she likes comics from like 1999 below.
That's wonderful.
It's so easy to reference, to get this, to know where it is. And this is from a 16-year-old girl. You know, you think she'd be into manga. You know, so that you know, talking to that father and daughter, that made my day. That was so cool. So much. And I agree with this. If somebody says to me, "Oh yeah, John, you got to read Iron Fist #6. It was such a great stuff." If I run out and get Iron Fist #6, which one are we talking about? And then I got guys at work. Once they find out that I'm the comic book guy, it happens every job. You know, in construction, the job finishes up. We go to another job. You meet a whole new group of people. It's one of the best things and worst things about the job, because you make friends with all these people. Then you say goodbye. You miss them. But then you meet another group of, so you're constantly saying hello, but you're constantly saying goodbye. But anyway, once they find out I'm the comic book guy, they're always like, "Oh, wow, I got Green Lantern #1. How much is it worth?" And I'm like, you know how many Green Lantern #1s there are? Which series?
I know. It's ridiculous. This is
Green Lantern #1 from 1938. So odds are it's worth $1.25. So nowadays I just tell them, take a picture of it and send me the picture. And I'm like, yeah, that's 90 cents. You know, it's sorry. And they all they all think they have a fortune in comments.
I know. It's especially the people that, you know, I mean, I'm lucky enough to have an LCS in my area that actually sells comics.
What state are you in, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm in New York.
Yes. Oh, but are you from Long Island?
No. I'm in the Hudson Valley. In,
Orange, I was excited. I thought
County.
maybe I had a comic book guy living near me. I'm on Long Island.
Strong Island. Yeah. Well, I'm a transplant from Rockland County. When I was in Rockland County, we had 5 comic book stores all at once. One of them sold American comics. And it was a dirty little corner all the way in the back of the store with one of those shelves, you know, that's like built specifically for a corner.
Yeah.
Right? So it's 2 sets of shelves. And it was just a mess, you know, nothing was organized. And to me, somehow that was even worse than just not even selling any American comics. It's like, this was like where you would keep the dirty magazines or something, right? Back in the ye olden days. It was, but now there's an LCS in my area that actually sells comic books. And there was a kid who came in and he had a bunch of comics and he was wondering if they were worth anything. And we were explaining to him that no, these are comics from the 90s. They're going to be worth virtually nothing because that was the speculator era.
Right.
And so they printed, you know, what was it? X-Men #1, the Jim Lee one.
2 million copies.
2 million copies. It didn't mean there were 2 million readers. Right. And that the whole reason why comics would be valuable is because of scarcity, right? Because back in really ye olden days, comic books were disposable literature. They were cheap entertainment. They were like pulps, right? And I pretty much consider myself a pulp writer. I really do. And the pulps were printed on pulp paper because it was cheap. And I feel bad for people who collect those because I remember as a kid being at a convention. This is back when they had the creation conventions in the city, right? And you would and you would see they'd be in these bags, and they would be literally dissolving. They'd be literally
the bags would be turning yellow. Yeah, dust, I remember.
Right, because it was disposable literature. You would read it and you would toss it. And that's why there's, an Action Comics #1 is worth so much money. It's because most of the people who read that tossed it,
Plus, we had the paper drives, you know what I mean, during World War II. So,
yes.
Only the dirty commies kept their comics, My father said when he left his apartment in Brooklyn to go to the Navy, he graduated high school, went right into the Navy. He said he had a big box full of comics that it was like the whole town. Like back then, everybody just traded. And he's convinced that there was an Action Comics #1 in that box,
Wow.
And I said, what do I have to that box? He goes, I don't know. Somebody threw it away eventually. He goes, it was just in the basement of the apartment building. It was the community comic box. Can you imagine the one kid who's just like, I'm going to keep all these.
Yeah. Yeah, the Vista made out like a bandit. World War II also played a very big part of that. Yes, Sam. I was really interested when I found out, because you wonder sometimes. It's like right now we have all this talent that's coming out of Latin America. It's insane, right? And also the Philippines. And even in the 60s and the 70s, you had a lot of great artists coming out of the Philippines. And the reason for that is because there were American GIs that were stationed there. And so they were reading comic books. And
I never
they left them behind.
I never thought of that.
Kids, me neither. I just learned this. And so the kids would pick up the American GIs comics and they fell in love. And created an entire generation of creators.
I never made that connection.
I know, me neither. Awesome. Isn't that? I love hearing.
This made my day. That little fact made my day. Pulled me out of my bad mood. There you go.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, look, comics are about love, right? You should, and that's why I always encourage people. If you're going to get involved in this medium, it has to come from a place of love. Because don't get into it for the money, because there is none.
Oh, I'm learning that the hard way.
Right. Well, look,
and that's why I said what I said. Why are you talking about comics you don't like? Don't you want to talk about Avengers fighting Count Nefaria?
Yes.
I've been talking about that particular issue for 40 years, and I'm not done. Matter of fact, I still want to talk about it because I just bought this. That's how much I love that freaking comic.
No.
You know what I mean?
That's from the Iron Man animated series, right?
Well,
was he in that?
I don't know, but this is Count Nefaria from my favorite comic of all time, Avengers 165.
Yeah. Also, I've
been talking about that particular comic for 40 years, and I'm not done. Why? To bring it back to what we talked about earlier. Why do I want to talk about Isom when I didn't particularly like it? Eric Try making a comic doesn't hurt me, Well, so he's making. Oh my God! How dare that guy make a comic book that I don't like? Because it's me.
Right, exactly. I have not read.
Metabarron is a great comic,
right?
I'm sorry.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, Sim and I, we're like the acolytes. We're like the apostles of French comics. We're basically always all walking around with like a copy of the Metabarons in one arm. Like this, trying to convert people into
what company was that brought the Metabarons?
Titan?
Was it Titan? Because I got a series. Oh my God, I loved it. It was such a trippy freak. I'm a big fan of Mobius and then all of his derivatives.
Oh my God,
Airtight Garage and the Inkle and all that stuff. But the Metabarons started out as Mobius, right? And then somebody else took it over.
Well, it was Alejandro Jodorowsky, the filmmaker / writer, who started that series because, of course, he had worked on an aborted adaptation of Dune.
That's right.
So he had all this stuff going on in his head, and he basically kind of did his own version of Dune, where instead of the spice, right, which is something that allows space travel, there's this element that basically makes things weightless, right? And so that's what everybody's fighting over. But the Meta Barons,
it's called unobtainium, and it's an Avatar.
Oh God. And it's, that's a favorite example of mine, because then, people were just like, no, but unobtainium's a real thing. I'm like, oh, I don't care if it's a real thing. Call it something else. Unobtainium? No unobtainium. Call it anything else.
Well, unobtainium, right? If I remember correctly, that was the joke name that they used for the MacGuffin in scripts before, like in the first draft, before they,
right.
We're gonna get this approved. Okay, now we're gonna flesh it out. So vibranium would have been unobtainium or whatever. Yeah,
right, or adamantium or something like that.
So Edwin, I got Edwin at 8:00. So I mean, if you guys are friends, how about we all just join in or whatever?
Hell yeah. Oh, I love Edwin. Edwin's is the real deal, and I'm so happy that he's now launching his
Humanoid Comics. That was the company.
Humanoids, yes.
Yeah, and
which I believe.
I went to a garage sale. My mother used to love garage sales. So when I was a kid, when my mom was driving, if there was a garage sale, it was like gravity. We had no choice.
Oh, you're lucky.
And I ended up liking it because I would find comics. I found a box of heavy metals in like bagged and boarded. I don't know where they came from. The guy wanted like $10. So I think I got from like 1 to like 50, 55 of heavy metal.
Oh, sweetness.
And I still haven't even read them yet. They've been sitting in this magazine box for like 15 years. So I got to get.
Oh my God, there's good reading in there, bro. There's great reading in there. Heavy metal, right? Which in France was Metal Hollande, was a game changer for me and for so many people, right? Because it's like when you're a little kid, you're reading Marvel, you're reading DC, you're reading Archie comics, Gold Key, that kind of a thing. And then I discovered head shop comics. Like, what in the world? The Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers, Weirdo, Zap, right? It's like, oh my God, it like opens a whole new world. And then I was on a trip to Germany with my parents. And so my mother got me some comics to read on the way on the flight, and one of the comics she got me, heavy metal. And she was European, so she didn't care about like the nudity and all that. All the
it's funny
stuff.
When you say she's so European, I just can't help it. That Kiss song just popped into my head. Do you know the Kiss song?
So no, I don't. I don't actually.
It's unmasked. It's terrible, but it's so bad it's good.
Yeah, I hear you. And then it was just like, oh my God, it's like, I didn't know you could do this in comics. Right. And then after that, 2000 AD, there are always these little revolutions that pop up, right? That challenge the medium, that take it someplace new. And people now, of course,
the heavy metal would always be in my house because my two older brothers, like, they would just pop in, like there would be like a story of like barbarians or motorcycles or something like that. So my brother, so I always knew about, but to me, heavy metal was like, oh, I can't read that. That has nudity and that's bad. That's for adults. So whenever I did see heavy metal, I was always like, that was like the kind of thing you read under the covers with a flashlight.
Right. You didn't want to get caught.
Forbidden fruit. And then I got like a whole box of it. I'm like, wow, I'm not even joking. Like, I think I paid like $10, $15.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, and I mean, that's where I discovered a Mobius. That's where I discovered Belial. That's where I discovered so many of these great European artists. And, and an approach and a style to storytelling that wasn't always to my liking, because let's face it, a lot of those stories were very drug-inspired. Right? And we're very trippy and, a lot like a head shop comic, like a beautifully illustrated, beautifully done a head shop comic. Now like Sim says, heavy metal changed his life, made him a comic book lover. Yeah, absolutely. All the masters got published in there. Absolutely. Now the French are doing the like dope Elric comics. They're doing these really dope ass Conan comics. And, I always feel that the format that we should be pursuing isn't the manga format, right? Because let's face it, if we start making manga, nobody's going to want to read them because the kids who read manga read it because it's Japanese, right?
Right.
But you look at the French model, right? The French format. I mean, just absolutely beautiful hardcover. Presentation is fantastic. The contents are fantastic.
Yeah, I had
French comics are where it's at.
I had Chuck Dixon on here. That's one of the things that he said that
big
he would
Six-Gun Gorilla fan.
Oh, good. He said he would like to go, like, if one guy, I don't know if you write or draw or whatever, whatever, but one guy takes a full year and then releases an oversized hardcover book, like European style, like once a year, and you just spend as much time that you need on it. And he said,
yes,
I forget if it was John Buscema was kind of intimidated by all these French and Italian comics, and he says, "Look how gorgeous it is." And I forget if it was Stan Lee or I forget who said to John Buscema, "You could do that too if you weren't on a monthly grind. If you could take as much time as you needed to do the best work possible that you were satisfied with, because you could easily do, I agree with that. Can you imagine if the indie comic scene was just a big oversized hardcover magazine book once a year? That would be awesome.
What I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. This is what we should be doing. This should be our goal, right? Now, I've been working with Adam Lawson, and he's doing this kind of stuff, right? Not necessarily hardcover, but the presentation is always absolutely first rate. You want to give people something beautiful that was made with care, that was made with love, that was made with sincerity, that they can put on their bookshelf, and they're not just going to forget about it. They're going to take it off the bookshelf every now and then and flip through it or read it again or share it with a friend. Not disposable stuff. Now, as for the Eric July stuff, I don't have an opinion on Isom because I haven't read it.
Well,
from what I heard from people
you're supposed to be outraged. You're supposed to have an opinion.
I know. Black man bad, because that's really what this is about. Black man bad. Right?
I don't know that. I'm not going to go that far, but I really don't understand the beginnings of it. I don't want to understand. All I know is he was nice to me, and I didn't particularly like the comic. So sorry.
Yeah,
if he wants to come on and talk again, I'll do it. But I'm not going to lie. This is the most I've talked about Isom. To me, the whole problem started was I asked Eric, what does Isom mean? If you're a superhero, I said, the superhero name is the focus of the character. When I say to you the Flash, let's pretend you have no idea who the Flash is. You could draw a conclusion and you'd be probably 75% accurate of what the Flash is. Well, he either has super speed or he has like light powers, but the Flash, he wears a bright costume, blah, blah, blah. Just
Captain America.
Batman, Spider-Man, you know what I mean? The Thing. These are all great names. Iron Man, these are all great. So I said, what is Isom? And he was like, you got to read it. Well, I said, I don't want to. I didn't say that to him. I was polite, but I was like, in my mind, I'm like, I don't want to, because to me, it seems if the name is bad, everything else, it's just, if it's unfocused, everything underneath it. And then when I got the comic, I was like, I was right. My accurate's. Right. So I got number 2 because I was like, maybe it'll be explained. And I'm like, you know what? I spent $70 and I'm just, after $70, I shouldn't be told wait till the next issue.
Right. Well, here's the thing too.
If you're $70 into Heroic Tales, and you're asking me what the hell's going on, then that's my fault.
Right. But here's the thing too. He's a first-time comic creator. I would not want anybody to go back and read my first comics. Do you know what I'm saying? It takes a while until you get good. And also, Eric showed that he is a very bright fellow, because he kind of went, I think maybe I need a little help here. So what does he do? He hires Chuck Dixon. He hires Mike Barron, right? Ringers. Right. So that makes total sense to me. And he's a Six-Gun Gorilla fan. He's had nothing but nice things to say about my stuff. Like I said, I haven't read his stuff, so I don't have an opinion on it. From the people that were objective, they told people that don't have Eric July derangement syndrome, the general opinion seemed to be, well, it's a comic. That's generally
I read both issues. I wanted to like them. Again, I got people that I know for a fact are rooting for me to fail, and I still told them I hope your comic does good, because it how does that help comic? How does that help anything by making more bad comics?
Yes.
So, but look, I haven't done a video on it, and I only do videos on comics I like.
Be careful, man. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing, though. It's a purity test, and a lot of us came into this space because we were looking to get away from whisper networks. We were looking to get away from purity tests. We were looking to get away from gay offs. We were looking to get away from censorship. Now we got all that shit.
Yep.
And we've had it for a while now, and now it's just becoming more and more obvious.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm scrolling through all of these. I haven't even responded to 75 of all these DMs that I got, just because I said, "Why are we spending so much time talking about comics we don't like?" I said the most awful thing in the world.
Black man bad.
We only got 4 more minutes before I got to go with Edwin, and we didn't even talk about your comic yet. Anything you?
That's all right. The new campaign's coming out. I just dropped the trailer in the private chat. It is going to be the final chapter in the Six Gun Gorilla Long Days of Vengeance arc. And so that's going to be issues 9 and 10. It's going to be a perfect place for people to catch up, because they're going to be able to buy the volume 1 trade paperback, or they could draw it by the floppies, if they're floppy people, and the people who've been buying floppies.
I'm a floppy person.
Okay.
It's a fun term, but I'm a floppy person.
And there's also going to be an exclusive Fun My Comic cover for issue number 9 by Dillard. That is fucking beautiful. And I always like to bust Dillard's balls and be like, I gave him good money and he just gave me a crayon drawing. But no, it's absolutely beautiful work. And then, of course, my artist is Preston Acevedo, who's just fucking phenomenal and just a great guy to work with.
The image that I've been using for a promo for this, that is awesome. So cool. So when are you going live?
Probably, I don't know, because I'm just currently in talks with people about the launch, but I'm hoping 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that.
Soon.
Yeah, very soon.
Come back. If I feel like I didn't give you enough time,
that's all right.
And
that's all right. I'm happy just to come on and just hang out. Now, of course, Edwin's
Long Box Punk. I feel like we didn't get enough time to actually talk. So, and I haven't been scheduling a lot of talks because I've been doing promo for myself. So I have a lot of open times. So you said 2 or 3 weeks. Come on back and we'll
rock and roll.
We'll talk about you.
Thanks,
but I'm gonna get going now because
you got
it. Are you friends with Edwin?
No, I hate Edwin's guts.
Oh, okay. You hate Edwin. I was gonna say maybe you could come in.
No. I love Edwin. No, I love Edwin. Edwin's a ball buster too. I'm very fond of people who are
I toned it down on Twitter.
Busters.
I used to be a ball buster on Twitter. But
well, well, that's the thing. On Twitter, social media, that's why there are always so many fights. You don't get nuance.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right?
It's funny that you said that. You know what I decided? I said, okay, I'm starting a YouTube channel. I want to make a comic book. So as a policy, I'm going, anything anybody says on Twitter or in the comments, I'm going to assume they meant it the best possible way unless I know otherwise. Right. And that's been, now I've been doing it for so long now that it just comes naturally. And you know what? It makes my Twitter pleasant.
Right.
You could say the nastiest thing to me, and I'm just like, I'm going to assume that was in the best possible intentions, unless you're saying, listen, asshole, I'm saying this to hurt your feelings, X, Y, Z, Z, Z. You know what I mean? And so I just assume everything is positive, even like they're criticizing this, but they meant that to help me, and just train yourself to think that, and
yes. Well, look, man, that's the thing is we got to keep shit positive.
Right.
Because negative shit, that's good for super chats. Drama, that's good for super chats. For the people that are drama
positively talking about conflict gets me.
It doesn't help us. Doesn't help us.
The last time I got super chats was when somebody tried to insult Eric July when he was on was on my
Oh, God.
channel. They super chatted me to read insults directly to his face.
Why don't you understand that he's? Why don't you, dude? I don't understand. Why do you not understand that he's the Antichrist? I've actually had people like message me and say to me like, do you not understand the terrible, horrible, blood-curdling things that he's doing? Why don't you see it? It's right in front of you. We're trying to explain it to you. And
I don't know. This is the last thing because I got to get Edwin. But he's making comic books in a small bubble. If who besides people who already knew who Eric July was, so even if they're the worst comics, even if they're made with bad intentions, which I don't believe, it doesn't matter. It's gonna implode sooner or later, and it'll disappear and whatever. To me, it's Marvel and DC are the problems.
Yes,
you know what
I mean? No shit.
My nieces and nephews and my cousins, they're just like, why are the X-Men gay? They're not talking about Isom. It doesn't matter. Exactly. We're the only one. So I don't understand the insanity.
Well, it's just, I understand it. It's because certain people are trying to dominate this space. That's why. And they don't appreciate some upstart showing up and making books and and especially the biggest sin, delivering them on time.
Yeah, well.
That's the real sin. That's the real sin.
All right. So you have Six Gun Gorilla. I'm sorry, but I
got the trailer if you want to play it. But yeah, I'm not taking up Edwin's space for anything. So
Edwin, guys, I'm going to close down this stream and I'm going to instantly go on and Edwin. And if Edwin's cool with it, maybe you could come back and we could talk all three of us. But
okay.
But whatever.
I'm going to refill. It's all good.
Come back and I feel like you didn't get enough time to talk about Gorilla. So come back in 2 to 3 weeks. Again, I got plenty of openings because I haven't been scheduling because I've been doing promos. And there you go. Pops, know what you're doing Thursday.
What you doing Thursday, Brian? Oh yeah, that's right. A horror movie club. And and I gotta say, my everybody swing by my YouTube channel and check that out because
what's your channel?
Let me see if I can find the link for it. It's at Brian Christgau 1415.
Okay.
And wait, let me see if I can find the actual link for it. And I'm at 657 subscribers. I keep getting slowly but surely up to 1,000. So everybody,
it took me 3 years to get
a brother up.
Send me that in a direct message, and I can edit it and put it into the description too.
Okay, I just sent it to you in the private chat. But dude, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate this.
I didn't give you it's normally I just talk until the conversation dies. No. It's all good. But yeah, let me quickly also pimp. On Thursdays, I do the horror movie club or the spaghetti western jamboree. Alternates from week to week, where we pick a horror movie, we pick a spaghetti western, and it's always something that's not behind a paywall. So there's always a link in the description. So if you're listening to us talking about the movie, showing clips from it and that sort of thing, and you think to yourself, "Damn, that looks sweet," guess what? You just click on the link in the description, and it will take you right. That is cool. I've been getting into westerns lately, so that's right up my alley.
Oh, dude, yeah. I'm your boy when it comes to westerns.
Oh, you definitely got to come back,
Italian or otherwise. But yeah, thank you so much for having me.
All right. I'll reach out to you after tonight. I'll send you a DM, and we'll set up something when your campaign launches.
Rock and roll, brother. Rock and roll.
All right. Thanks a lot, everybody. I'm just going to shut this down, and I'm going to restart, and we'll be here with Edwin. Edwin's in the chat. He's probably waiting for me. All right.
Hail, Edwin.
All right, everybody. Thanks a lot.
Peace.